Hey, are you in what you might call like a waiting season? Um, you maybe have been doing the work and now you're just waiting for the thing that you've been working so hard for and planning for and strategizing for to like come to pass. If that's you, then this live is especially for you. Okay. I'm going to be sharing with you one thing. I only got one main thing to share this time. And there's the one thing I'm going to share with you to do while in your waiting season. If you happen to be new to me, hey, I'm so glad that you're here. I am Danielle Coach. I'm a certified life and leadership coach. I'm a life coach for mid career professionals, especially those who are looking to take the leap into full time entrepreneurship. And for those that are looking to take the leap into full time entrepreneurship, I am known for helping them quit their 9 to 5 without regret. So if you happen to be here with me live, hey, I'm glad that you're here. Do me a favor and drop a comment wherever you may be watching this because it's streaming in a couple of places and just say, hey, D. Hopefully, I can see it here on this platform. If I can't, I promise to come back through and show you some love. But I'm so super grateful for you being here with me. If you happen to catch the replay, do me a favor and just type hashtag replay. And I'm for sure come back and show you some love too. It doesn't matter when you see it, but whenever you see it is when you're supposed to see it, right? So, what I know is that I talk a lot about like how to prepare, like to take the leap. I talk a lot about creating the life of your wildest dreams and how to think about it, way things that you should and could be doing that may defy the status quo, which I spoke about in a recent video. I talk all about it, right? I'm a believer of taking back control of your life, creating the life of your wildest dreams, doing it unapologetically, and making it a lifestyle, not just a one time thing that you do to get yourself out of a rut and overcoming your mid career crisis, or you might be what is it? Not quite a mid, somewhat quarter life crisis, if you will, somewhere in between for us older millennials. Um, but wherever you fall on the spectrum of life and age, right, there are different walls that we hit in different seasons that have us looking around like, first of all, who am I and how do I get here? Third of all, what is the fastest way to exit stage left? Because, like, yeah, though, this ain't for me, right? And so, all of these things that we experience and that we go through, it leads us to this point of having to make many decisions, right? Some many MINI decisions amongst the many MANY decisions, right? But it's a number of decisions. And even though there may be some many MINI decisions, there also are some large decisions that have a grand impact on our lives. And sometimes other people who are dependent on us or directly connected to us or partnered to us in our life as well. So, that being said, understanding that like there's all of these things swirling and all of these decisions being made to kind of free you from whatever's holding you back, to free you from what's no longer serving you, for you to let it go confidently and without regret. And so you're doing all of the work, especially if you're one of my clients, right? Because that's what I support my clients with is slowly taking a finger at a time out of the holes on what is a sinking ship, which feels like it is your life, right? And seeing like what safety um, nets or boats, if you will, for the acronym, might be available to you. And so in doing that, it can be scary, right? It can be daunting. It can be exhilarating, right? It can feel freeing. It can be a number of different things. And that's another video I recently shared, like the different feelings that you may feel, especially right after you take the leap. So there's all of these things that are going on and they're swirling, right? So you're taking actions here, taking actions there, making decisions here, making decisions there, considering this, factoring in that, weighing out risk here, taking something off the table, putting it back maybe in a different way, having conversations, peas, to quitting without regret. There's all of these moving pieces, and it's like a snowball effect. With one step, there's another and another and another, and you slowly begin to undergo like this metamorphosis, right? Not only in your actual life, right? Not only in your career for the most part, the people that are attracted to me, they want some type of career change, which will affect their life and the freedoms that their life as is and career as is afford them. So there's all of these different changes, and it ends up being like this big snowball effect. So you make changes to like where you're showing up. You make changes to how you're thinking. You make changes to how you're being, how you're speaking, right? You make changes to who you allow in your space in this season, right? Because everybody can't go with you where you're going. Everybody won't understand what it is that you're trying to do. It's not going to make sense when you want to do something different for you that does not align with what the status quo is and what most other people are doing. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. It just means that it's not for you, right? They're not broken and neither are you, but there is something bigger and greater and more freeing that's calling to you, and you want to do something about it. Like you're not comfortable being uncomfortable. You're not comfortable living a life full of like what ifs and taking those what ifs to your grave. So you are making a conscious decision to do something different for you, right? No shade to anybody else, but this is your life that you get to live, that you're choosing to live out loud and unapologetically. So you're doing whatever you got to do, right? And a lot of times it may seem like you are distancing yourself because you probably are, right? A lot of times people may feel, oh, you acting funny. No, you're going somewhere different. You're showing up different because you want different results. So you're doing something different, right? That's all that's happening. It ain't for everybody. And no, you're not going to be the same person on the other side of what it is that you're working so hard for to free yourself from this space that's no longer serving you, from places that are no longer serving you. So you're doing all of these things, you're doing the work. And this work sometimes is hard. It can bring you to tears because it's likely something that you've never done before in this capacity. And it's a good chance that what you are doing now, that you're doing it in a season of your life where there's so much riding on your success, right? Or whatever's on the other side of your decision, whatever life changes that you're looking to put into place. So there's so much riding on it, right? And you're doing all of this work that at some point you're like, okay, I've done my part. Now, like I'm waiting for the other shoe to land, right? Like I've done all I can in my might. It may be applying for some program. It may be applying for a different job, right? It may be starting a business. It may be being more intentional about the business that you have on the side. Whatever it is that you're looking to put into place, that you have your sights set on for your next season, there's some work that you're doing to put things in motion, right? And so that waiting season, it could be even heavier than the season where you're actually making those decisions and having like decision fatigue and having anxiety, right? Being afraid of making the wrong decision because maybe you have dependents, right? Maybe you are a caregiver. Maybe there's all these other things riding on your decision and you can't just make the decision for you. Or maybe you can make the decision solely for you, but because it's just you feel like everything is riding on you and like it has to work, right? It can't fail. You gotta figure it out. So there's all of this stuff weighing on it. So that's heavy. Oh, but then now we're in the waiting season. Listen, the waiting season can be quiet, it can be silent, right? The silence can be deafening. It can challenge your faith. It can have you questioning, like, if is this the right thing? It could have you beginning to share what it is that you're waiting on with people and in spaces that aren't equipped to handle the magnitude of the vision that you've been given and the desires of your heart. You could be sharing it prematurely and having people weigh in on what they have no say so in the first place, and that even when it comes into fruition, it's still going to take time for them to really understand and believe and be brought into the thing in the space that you're shifting and transitioning into. It can have you doing all sorts of things and thinking all sorts of thoughts, right? So here is the one thing, and if that resonated with you, do me a favor and let me know in the chat. Like just yes, whatever, amen, whatever you got to put. Let me know if I'm on your pew, right? And why this has come up, right? I was in I hosted my bi-weekly group accountability call that I host for my clients. It's kind of like a part of one of my secret weapons because I know my high achieving clients need that extra support, non-judgmental support and accountability to continue to do what they said that they were going to do, especially once they made the commitment while still juggling all of the responsibilities of life, right? So anyway, we had our call, our biweekly call tonight, and I have a client who's been working with me for almost 90 days now, and she has been doing all of the things, right? I have been able to witness her transformation like in real time. And I know for a fact that she can't see herself the way I see her because she's eyeballs deep in all of the things, right? She has been checking boxes, listen, moving and shaking by any means necessary, asking for the help that she needs. I now see her making decisions differently. I see like the angst decreasing. I just see her like transforming into this person that is equipped for where she's going next. But she needed the space in order to undergo this transformation because who she was when we first started working together is not who she is now. And who she was then can't handle all of what she's opening up for herself, right? By leaning into possibility and not settling for the status quo, not settling for complacency, not settling for other people's opinions, right? But taking back control of her life and thinking big and believing bigger and doing something about it and courageous enough to ask for help, support, and accountability. So I say all that to say she's in this season of having done all the things. And now it's just like we're just waiting for like the things to manifest, right? To actually come into fruition. And so it was a beautiful kind of like dance that we did on the call today. And she's like, yeah, this thing has to work. And I'm like, listen, it's already done. My thing is, how are you waiting? Right. And so what I encouraged her to do, and this I'll give one example, right? I'll give my own personal example. So when I was preparing to take the leap, quit my six-figure government job, to leap into full-time entrepreneurship, I had applied for my coaching certification program of choice at Georgetown. It was an application process, and I had to be accepted or rejected. I ended up being waitlisted for the program, but this was like this was my out, right? So I'm doing all of the work, barely got my application in by the deadline. It took everything that I had. Now it took a couple of months for the review process. Then I find out I get waitlisted. So I'm like, okay, well, some news is better than no news, and this news is better than a rejection letter, right? And so while I'm in this waiting season, because this was the thing that I had decided was going to unlock my next season for me to be able to take this leap, bet on me and God, and do this thing confidently, and to give me some credibility by waking up one day and saying I'm a coach. I wanted to be a certified coach. So I'm like, okay, I got the strategy, I got my game plan. This is what sounds good for me, and this is what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. So I said, okay, well, I'm waiting, but I can tell you this: my date of choice, that's my last day, is circled on my calendar. Nobody knows. There's no words. There's no no symbols. I simply have circled this date on the calendar because I know that is the date that I have decided is it. I'm done. It was a couple of months down the line, but I'm like, it gives me time to do this, and this, and save this, and this. Like I had a plan and I had a strategy this time because if you know anything about my story, this was the second time that I quit a six-figure job, right? But this time, like there was no turning back. And I also had a lot more weighing and riding on the decision. I now had a mortgage that I was taking care of by myself. Of course, me and God, but I had a whole lot more riding obligation wise on this particular decision. I digress. So while I'm waiting, right, I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and get this show on the road. I started cleaning out my desk. Why? Because I knew what was coming and I was serious about it. I had done all that I could do in the time that I could and within my own power and within my own might that aligned with what I said I wanted to do. I did the research. I hired my first coach. I hired a life coach. I applied to my program of choice. I knew I wanted to be a certified coach. So I had to find a program to get trained in. I redid the research. I applied for the program. It was this one program I wanted to get into, like all bets were riding on it, and that was it. I was waitlisted, right? And so I'm like, I'm doing all of the things that I can do. I'm looking at my stuff, my finances, right? I'm calculating things over here, calculating things over there, making sure my affairs are in order, making sure I know what my rights are as an employee who is going to be um, leaving. I can't think of the word right now, but leaving the organization but not retiring, right? Just knowing all of the things. And so while doing that, I said, okay, I got that part down. I'm getting ready to clean out this desk. And so I didn't wipe the desk, but what I did was I started cleaning out my desk as though I was not coming back. So by the time May 23rd, 2019 came around, I didn't have much cleaning up or out to do. I had already started the process, and it was a little here and a little there, nothing to, send off smoke signals or raise alarms. A little, and it's springtime at the time of this recording of this video. So a little spring cleaning is normal and it's common, right? If you need an excuse to start cleaning out your desk, if you're serious about this thing, um, if that is your goal, is to ultimately take the leap, right? Begin getting this stuff, putting this stuff in motion and having your actions align with what it is that you say that you want, right? You don't have to be leaving tomorrow. You don't have to leave next month or 2 months, but like I know what's coming, even if nobody else knows but God, right? That's okay. You know in your heart what's up. How are you showing up? And if you don't want to take aligned action, why not? Is it that you don't believe for what it is that you say that you want? Is there doubt, right? You got to chin check that thing, because when you are getting ready to make major like life decisions, and although it can afford you a life well beyond your wildest dreams, right? You have to be sure about the thing. And there's a difference between being sure about the thing and being sure about the how it's going to happen. You don't have to be sure about the how, but you got to be sure that this move is for you, that this decision is for you, that is what you're supposed to do. And I'm gonna challenge you a little bit more, like to go at it from the perspective of purpose. Are you in alignment with your life's purpose, right? And this is why I preach purpose so much, because when you know that you are in alignment with your life's purpose, is what you're here to do, right? Anybody could try to argue you down, but if you know that you know that you know that what you're doing and the decisions that you're making are in alignment with who you were divinely created to be, what are we talking about? Practice. And furthermore, if somebody doesn't understand or get it or buy into it, who cares? It's not for them in the first place. This is your purpose, you and yours alone. And so when you're rooted in something as powerful as purpose, like that's where the game changes, right? So while you're waiting for the thing to unfold, or the things to unfold that are in alignment with your purpose, and you're in your waiting season, let me tell you something about this waiting season, okay? It ain't for the faint, okay? It's not for the faint. And I'm pretty sure that there are more people that get out of the waiting boat than there are that stay in it in faith. And so I just want to encourage you. I don't know who you are. I don't know when you'll see this. You'll be here with me live, but I just want to encourage you to stay faithful even in your season of waiting, and know that what's yours is yours. You just got to keep believing, and you got to keep moving towards the thing. And how do you do that? You take aligned action. If you know that you know that you know that you know that you are going to be doing a thing when the time is right, hey, listen, you know what they say? You stay ready, you don't got to get ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Let me tell you a little bit more about my waiting season. While I was in my waiting season, I planned a trip to Bali, Indonesia. I had the audacity to give my notice. Um, I think I probably gave my notice maybe a month out. I gave more than 2 weeks, but I had a plan, right? Hashtag do not recommend. It worked out for me, right? But companies and leaders at times can be really funny acting, and they really show you what they're made of when they know that you're on your way out the door, and they can make your last weeks, however long you give them, hell. Hey, people's true colors come out when you tell them no or when you start to make decisions for yourself. So I do not recommend giving as much time and notice as I gave. However, I made a calculated decision. I kind of knew what I was working with, right? But I planned a trip a couple months before, still didn't say anything. So about a month before I was going to leave, I gave my notice. And of course, this time they did the right thing. They tried to, see if there was anything that they could do. And I was just like, well, it depends on what it is that, you can do. What are my options, right? And for me at the time, I was working in DC, living in Richmond, Virginia. And for those that don't know, that's about an hour and a half drive with no traffic, 2 hours like during rush hour, right? I was doing it every day, like 4 and 5 days a week, 2 hours each way, working 9.5 hours a day. It was hell, right? I was doing it, but I was a zombie. And all I really wanted was to be able to work out of the Richmond office. I didn't ask for much, right? I was proven, listen, mover and shaker in the organization. You can give me a little space. I'm not even asking for every day. Maybe every Friday, every other Friday, whatever. And that became like touchy, political, and all of this stuff. And I'm like, listen, I want to work out of the Richmond office. Like, can you figure that out? Right. And they're like, oh, I got to make some phone calls. Can you give me about 2 weeks? Here I go. Sure. I'm going on vacation anyway. So I'll check in when I get back. And so I get back and they had drummed up some kind of situation and it wasn't ideal for me. And I still chose me. Right. And it may have seemed crazy. It may have seemed like who does she think she is? Gosh, child, who knows her purpose and is not afraid to walk in it, who's not afraid to leap in it, who knows that she's skilled, she's teachable, she's trainable. She works hard. And if she works as hard for herself as she's worked for this organization and everybody else and everything else that she's put her name on, my goodness, how successful might she be? Well, guess what? She will never know if she never tries. And so that was the energy that I absolutely positively, without a shadow of a doubt, had in my last days in my previous organization. And it was just like, yeah, like nobody else around me was doing anything like that. If they were retiring, right? I had 12 years in the game, right, as a federal employee. And I just had happened to be tired of aging myself prematurely by living this humdrum life for the sake of a paycheck, right? Just for the sake of a paycheck. It was the money. It was the money that had me going from Richmond to DC every day, bringing the DC money to Richmond. Yeah, I afforded myself a great lifestyle. However, it became too much, right? It was just unnecessary roughness. Um, and I knew there was something bigger for me, and I decided to see what was on the other side, like, but not just haphazardly, in purpose. So I come back to my only point for this, even though I've been talking for a minute. Y'all, you can see I'm super passionate about this, as well as unapologetic. When you're in your waiting season, it's important for you to take aligned action, right? You don't always have to be doing something, but be intentional about the things that you're doing. Case in point, prime example, for my leapers out there who, have their eye on the prize. You may already have a business that you're running and growing. You may have aspirations for a business, right? Um, but ultimately, like, your goal is to take the leap. So when you take the leap, if you're taking the leap, listen, it's no harm in going ahead and cleaning that desk out. It's no harm in drafting these emails. It's no harm in drafting that resignation letter, right? You can even go as far as putting a date on it. And so what if you have to change the date? So what if you have to push your date out a little bit? Who's judging? Who knew anyway, besides you? Unless you're telling people, right? And so do what you got to do. And a lot of times it can be therapeutic for you because it's just like they could try me if they want to. What they don't know is I'm on my way out the door, right? Their days are numbered. Um, So it's a little game that you can play with yourself. But while you're in your season of waiting, just make sure you're taking aligned action, especially when the doubt creeps in, when you feel like your faith is being tested, when you feel like it starts to waver, when the vision is so clear, but you have no understanding of the how. Know that that's par for the course. Know that you're right where you're supposed to be. Know that when it's time, it will be undeniable. Know that when it's time, when you're operating in absolute alignment, there will be ease. It won't always be easy, but there will be ease. And you might not understand what I'm saying now, but quote me, right? Write this down. And when it happens for you, hit me back and let me know. Like, D, you were right. Okay. I'm telling you, there ease comes with alignment. Alignment comes with ease, however you want to say it. I think it could go both ways if I heard myself correctly. But that's where I'm at. If this resonated with you in the least bit, do me a favor. Please drop a comment and let me know. If you feel like you know someone who would benefit from hearing this, maybe they're not looking to quit their job, but maybe they're in a season of waiting and they're growing impatient, their faith is dwindling, what have you. But there's something or some things that I said that you feel like would resonate with their spirit. Tag them below, share this with them, share the wealth. Hey, listen, just be a blessing. It doesn't cost a thing, just a second or two of your time. And last but not least, if you know that you need support with moving into this next season of your life powerfully, and unapologetically, right? You may be in a couple of positions. One, you may know that, like, hey, I'm super uncomfortable where I am. I know something has got to give. I have no idea what that might look like. I have no idea what I could possibly do, but I know that where I am right now is not where I can stay, especially while maintaining my sanity. Like, I'm so uncomfortable. Something's got to give, and I need some help figuring this out. That means you need clarity, right? And hey, listen, somebody coined me as the catalyst of clarity here recently, and I wear that title proudly. Okay, that's something that I absolutely help my clients with, and I would love to be able to see if I can support you as well. So that may be you. You may be someone who has a crystal clear vision, but that confidence is not there. Like, there's a lot that's weighing you down and holding you back from being able to, like, lean in and take that leap, whatever the leap might look like for you. Right? It could be a job, like that's my sweet spot. It could be a relationship. You may or may not know. Like, I shut down. I called off an engagement like less than a month out. Right? Listen, there's no settling over here. Right? I want what I want. I deserve what I deserve, and I want that for you too. But I know it's not always easy. So, and I say that because I'm here to let you know there is a method to the freedom. And if you just know that you are not showing up in the world as powerfully as you are designed. You know that there is something or some things missing, but you know, like, that there's something's possible, right? And you want support with that. I'm here for you, right? I would love to speak with you and see what next might look like for you. So if you're battling with, like, finding the clarity about what's next, finding yourself, if you are struggling with, like, confidence, right? And you're ready to quit what's no longer serving you without regret, I want to invite you to click the link that's in the caption of this video. Or I made it simple for you. Go to quitwithoutregret.com. Check out that video that I posted, that I share there. There's some information that I think, if you like this video, that you would appreciate there as well. Check that out. And if you're interested in seeing what next looks like, just follow the prompts that I give you in that video, and we can take it from there. Um, and I also want to share, there was something else that dropped in my spirit that I wanted to share, and it has to do with, did I just lose it? Okay, maybe I wasn't supposed to say it. But either way, go to quitwithoutregret.com. I would love for you to, like, dive in and learn more about how I see the world, and for you to pick up my 7-step blueprint, which I call the 7 P's to quitting what's no longer serving you, without regret. There's some goodness there, and I look forward to speaking to you. All right, I'll see you on the next one.